Hi, I'm Phil Creighton of the Shadow Chasers, and today we're going to take a look at the Panasonic AG-DVC30. Now, we reviewed this a little while ago, a few years ago actually, and when we first got it and tried it out. This is a 3CCD camcorder from Panasonic, as you see right here. It has three processors, CCD processors, at 1/4 inch, as 1/4, and they average about 410,000 pixels per processor. Now, our previous review, we only took a look at it in terms of the paranormal aspects. Now, a lot of people are taking a look and saying, there's not much out there on this. Well, okay, so what we have is this 3CCD processor camcorder that shoots at 30p or 24p. And that's very good for cinematic feel, cinematic quality for your shooting. It also is capable of pushing up to 720p, and that's for your resolution. So anything, if you're trying to push up to 1080, it doesn't work quite as well, but it averages 640 by 480 really well, and pushing up to 720, it can do it pretty decent, simply because of the resolution and quality of the camera. And the reason why is this does shoot full digital video, but it shoots it on mini DVC tapes. Now, for the Hollywood standard, there's quite a few of these that are still in use, and this was actually one of the models that was used for shooting the first season of Ghost Hunters way back when, because it was full pro level camcorder that could shoot at night. Now, since then, there's been the development of astroscopes and stuff like that that can modify any camcorder into shooting at night. But for our purposes, for this camcorder, what we have is all the pro-level features that you could ask for in a camera, with shooting at 30p, doing 16:9 with an artificial filter that can be applied in here to letterbox it. You can see a lock-in. It has full audio controls for you can change your input lines, you can change what you're shooting and how. You can boost everything. You can control your aperture, you control your shutter speed, you control all of it. And one of the best features of this camera is you can lock in those settings depending on your environment. You have 4 different user profiles, user 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what you do is you preset it. Say you're going to be shooting indoors, you lock it in for incandescent lighting at 60, 1/60th with an f8, say about f3 or something like that, with a up to 3 decibel gain for the camcorder. And then you set another one for shooting purely at night, and it'll be on full auto, and you can set it to record in a full IR mode. And all that is the touch of a button once those are programmed in. Same thing for controlling audio. You can switch between the modes. Now, this comes to one of the biggest things. This camera can shoot some really good video, and I've used it for my videography work for the last 2 years, the same as we've been using for our paranormal work for the last 2 years. The biggest problem we have here is the onboard mics. These are dual channel stereo mics here, but they're on the camera. Unlike other camcorders, pro-level camcorders or prosumer ones, where they input them on the handle, so they separate them from the body so you don't hear the internal workings. This one has it set in on top of the body, so you actually get the internal workings. You can hear the zoom, you can hear the processor, you can hear the tapes running, you can hear all of that internal workings of the camera, so you end up with some background noise. So the result is you end up with a lot of noise from these normal onboard mics, and they're really kind of substandard quality for this camera. So a lot of people will just switch over, use an XLR mic, which we have right here, XLR input, or use the XLR adapter block that comes with this camera that you can get for this camera. It's a GMY30 something or other, and it works for both this camera and the HMC newer models, the full digital versions. And you get 2-channel XLR inputs on it. Or you can switch, and as we've used for the last 2 years, and for both videography and for paranormal, use something like a Rode mic with a 3.5 jack on it, and it works perfectly well. Now, we have a lot of interesting features for this camera, including the ability to drop it down to slow shutter speed of about 1/30th of a frame, or 1/60th is the normal shooting speeds for this, or you can jump it all the way up to 1/8000th. It gets pretty fast shutter speed on this. Or you can switch it into the full mode, well, full auto here, where it'll just manually take care of it, automatically take care of everything. But what we have is on our zoom levels, which a few people have asked us about, we have a 16x zoom with a full rocker here that can do half steps, where it's slow, nice cinematic zoom in or zoom out, or a full speed one, which will take us to full 16x in less than a second. It also has built-in 1.5 digital zoom on this as well, so you can get some good footage at good distance. We also have, unlike the manual controls for other camcorders at the time, and even our VG here, it has an E-mount adapter right here. This is the nice little E-mount focus ring. What it'll do is control our focus, and depending on your setting, you may roll the wheel and switch it between modes and allow it to do other things. But it's all digital. So there's no tactile feedback of when you're hitting your extent for your focus or anything like that, but it does give you a lot quieter control and very fine control too. Secondary here is why this was used for ghost adventures, well, ghost hunters first. Ghost hunters is because it shoots in full IR. You'll see this in the straight black and white footage that we have up all over the place. Shooting at night. What it does is we have 2 built-in IR lamps here, and Panasonic actually recommends you take off the lens hood to shoot, because the lens hood will obstruct your IR LEDs when shooting at night. Now, as an investigator, you can actually see just how bad this can be, though, because the lens actually sticks out a little bit further than the focal ring. So that means your lens is more likely to get hit than anything. So we tend to leave it on and just stick with the external IR lights and use that for focus. So one of the nifty features about this camera is what they reveal as the crime fighter, the ultimate crime fighter, because this is used by court systems and by the police for arresting operations and stuff like that. What we have is we can make the camera low profile. Remove our handle, which is a cold shoe handle, another cold shoe here, which is what it locks into, and now you have a very low profile camcorder with pro features that can shoot at night and full IR. If we want to get distance, lock in IR light on it, or distance for audio, we can lock in the Rode mic on it. Now, without the XLR adapter, we've only got one XLR input on this camcorder, so you have to keep that in mind. The next part of this camera that's really beneficial is the fact that, of course, you're listening to your audio as you can pull it in, and full audio controls, where you can boost the inline, you can boost the monitor level, all of that. So it's very beneficial, and it's very high quality camcorder for what it does. And you can pick this up for around $500 nowadays. So we can listen to a monitor audio. We have zebra and peaking. We have the bars so that we can actually double check our color levels. There are a couple of nifty features like the Cine mode. The Cine mode allows for 3 different profile settings where you can actually change the push of the saturation levels. The favorite default is, of course, the push black. What it'll do is it'll saturate things just a little bit more, a little bit darker. and it will give it that sort of cinematic quality. Now, the other modes are of course all manual, where you can set that so you can gain whatever focus or whatever saturation levels you're seeking. You can adjust those. Now, a couple of the other features about this, because this is a mini DVC tape system, you can see one of the features here. This is a problem. When mounted to a tripod or low profile, this handle will actually prevent you from opening the door entirely and could cause problems and jams while switching. The other problem that we have is converting that nowadays. We have an IEE FireWire cable, which we can use to rip into any system that has FireWire capabilities, but pulling tapes, you're still at the mercy of your computer that's processing it. So what will happen is you'll get a lot of dropped frames and you'll get a lot of choppy footage simply because the processor on your computer will overheat when intaking this, versus a newer camera where you can just pull the card and you're done, or plug in that as a hard drive and that works too. Now, we have used this for the last 2 years for pretty much all of our footage, and you can see it for my documentary work, and you can also see it for the Shadow Chasers walkthroughs and videos. This is a very compact, very powerful camcorder, and it runs off of these, first the 2.5-hour battery that comes with the camera, and then of course the extended life battery, which we got about 9 hours on before. This battery lasted us our entire Rolling Hills investigation. Just this one battery. Now, we did burn through 6 tapes at that, and that's one of the other problems. With the tapes, the tape system, the mini DVC tapes, you have limited space, you have limited time on these tapes. In high quality mode, you can push to get 30, maybe 40 minutes out of a tape. A little bit in medium quality, you get about 60 minutes on a tape, and in the longest play, the lowest quality, you end up with about 90 minutes per tape. And as you see, during an investigation, you can burn through a lot of tapes really, really quickly. So, what we typically used is this as our walkthrough camera, documentarian's camera, and also for our videographer when he's following us around, or when I'm following the team around doing the investigation. We typically only pull highlights or footage of the walkthrough through this, which usually only results in a few hours, a couple of tapes worth. Now, for the camera, this is again 30p, 720p max resolution, and 16:9 capable. So it can look really, really sharp, but it is a lot to push through your computer. So for our future use, videographers, what we're going to be using is the Sony Nex VG20. This has the Cell 1555 on here, and it is a beautiful lightweight camera, and it's just so much better audio. Now, it doesn't have the full night shot of the Panasonic, which is why we're still going to be using this at night, but all of our future footage for shooting video for our interviews, for our history sections, stuff like that is going to be shot through this camera. It's just a lot higher quality, a lot better resolution, and a lot more compact. As you can see here, between these two cameras, we have full night vision capabilities on this, but we have full 1080p, 60p, 60i, 30p, and 30i, well, excuse me, 30p and 24p shooting modes on this camera, shooting at full Blu-ray quality, AVC HD. And all the same features except for interchangeable lenses. So we're going to be using this with our quad spatial array, much clearer audio than with this, which is what we're still going to be using for our night and pretty much all our investigation footage in the walkthrough. But we'll have this running for all of our future videography purposes. This camera is an outstanding camera, especially for the price, and with the 2 shooting modes, you can do slow shutter night shot, super night shot plus on most Sonys, you know it as, where it slows the frame rate down and it increases the light because it increases the aperture. But In the normal night shot mode, what it'll do is switch everything to IR, and between the lamps and the high quality of this camera, you get a lot of clear footage even at night. So you'll have those black and white footage that you can see all the samples of. Everything we've shot with over the last 2 years are on this camera. It looks really sharp. It's got a lot of high quality features to it. It's just the MiniDVC tapes and low substandard quality microphones on the top kind of knock it down a notch. I'm Phil Creighton with the Shadow Chasers, taking a look at the Panasonic AG-DVC30.